taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League.
Enjoy, guys.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for April 27th, 2022. This is your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games in the gaming industry, coming at you pre-recorded on YouTube and on all of our audio platforms. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify. I don't think we're on SoundCloud anymore, but anyway, almost anywhere you can find audio podcasts, you can find this podcast. And of course, if you are part of our Discord server, you can listen live on Tuesday nights, which is when we record this. But welcome to the show, whether you're listening live or after the fact. Please do say hello in the live chat if you are listening live today. And if you are, again, if you're watching on YouTube, please slam that like button and hit the subscribe button so you can catch new episodes. And here on this channel, you will not only catch this show, Augmented Reality, but also Maximum News, which goes out on the weekends. All right. There is... I mean, we have a fair smattering of gaming stories to talk about today, but of course, we need to talk about the news source of explosive memes after the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing. It's been replaced as meme champion by Elon buying Twitter. And so we're going to talk about what this means for us and what this means for the whole industry. I know it's not directly gaming related, but I mean, this is big tech news that affects pretty much all of us in this space. For example, I actually put Twitter back on my phone today. I haven't logged in yet. I haven't gotten that brave, but I'm considering it. I'm actually considering it. By the way, that voice was Moontag. My name is Ash, by the way. I'm here with Subsidian and Moontag as always.
Hello.
We are the Triple S League, and yeah, you're listening to this on Triple S Podcasts.
And I have a very important question that I would like to ask to the entire community, the entire gaming community. That we need to know, we need some judges and a jury on this, really, when you think about it. I want to know is whether or not we are going to have Johnny Depp on this show some point in the future. Actually, objection to the question.
But you asked the question.
Oh, sorry, I fell into Amber Heard's lawyer there for a second. In case you didn't know, this isn't gaming related, but it's very funny. I believe it was yesterday. It might have been the day before, but I believe it was yesterday. Amber Heard's lawyer was asking questions of a witness and interrupted his own question to raise objection to it.
He objected to his own question. Okay.
And the judge was just looked at him, kind of like sighed and turned her head a little sideways and said, "You asked the question. Why would you object to your own question?" So it's a gong show. It's extremely funny. Shua's been watching it. The clip is going all around on Twitter. I'm sure it's going to become I'm sure at some point it's going to become a meme if it hasn't already. But yeah, it was pretty hilarious watching a lawyer object to his own question mere seconds after asking it.
So wait, so he asked a question, Johnny answered the question, and then the lawyer objected?
No, he wasn't talking to Johnny at the moment. He was talking to a different witness.
Okay.
But he was asking a question, and then as soon as he said the question, as the witness was about to start answering the question, he immediately objected to the question and said, "It's hearsay. We don't want to strike this from the record."
You all right then? Well, see, I mean, I might have to go look for that clip, even though I haven't been able to muster. It's 2 ounces of care about the Johnny Depp thing.
It's honestly funny to watch it because Johnny has been hilarious in his this case has been entertaining more than any Hollywood case I have ever seen.
I've seen some entertaining clips from it. I just, at the same time, it's like, and I'm not saying that, you know, there isn't any merit to what's going on as far as this case. But at the same time, I'm watching 2 bajillionaires argue over millions of dollars in court, and it's kind of like, well, I have a hard time really getting into this, but I have found some of the clips funny as well. But again, it's still Hollywood elite stuff, and I just have a hard time caring at all about that. But Jin posted the clip. I wonder if I could play this without it getting without it triggering the copyright system. I'm not going to risk it, but I will watch it later. Thank you, Jin, in the live chat, and to everyone else who's chatting there as well. All right, so speaking of, I don't have a good segue from that. I wish I'd known we were talking about that first, and I would have come up with a segue.
Well, I guess
speaking
I
of,
guess we'll segue into.
Speaking of people with way too much money. I was going to segue into Elon.
That's a good one.
Speaking of people with way too much money, now this guy could probably buy Johnny Depp and Amber Heard 7,000 times. So the big news, of course, today, Elon Musk has bought Twitter. The board accepted his offer, as a lot of people suspected they would. I wasn't sure if they would hold out, but I think they realized, well, if we don't do this, we'll probably get sued. And really, what are we going to say about why we rejected this amazing offer for this amazing offer to the shareholders?
There's a lot of people who are like, I don't like this. I don't like a billionaire owning social media. First of all, it was already owned primarily by BlackRock and the Saudi government.
Yeah, and when did that start?
I'm not joking. That's not a lippy answer. It was legitimately a large section of it.
Yeah.
I'm told that it was I'm told through people who are claiming directly from them, including the Saudis, that oh yeah, them and their friends and the BlackRock together owned way more than Elon did. And I've just got to point out that I remember a time when my parents, in their college days, were protesting BlackRock and the Saudi government. I mean, I remember a time in the past when it was like, hey, fight for freedom, and we don't want BlackRock doing shady stuff and, having control over everyday lives. Again, I'm shocked that there's so many people who are like, no, we don't. We want it to stay under the control of a very shadowy. I mean, it's called BlackRock. I mean,
well, that
you could. If I said, hey, did you watch the new James Bond movie where he goes and fights the evil, world controlling organization of BlackRock, you'd be like, wow, that sounds cool. Yeah, it's the name of a maniacal organization bent on world domination.
Okay, I think I would argue you're reading a little too much into the name of the company, but anyway, I mean...
No, I'm really not. So there's BlackRock, and then there's another one. I forget what it was called, but I have to pull it up because I don't want to misquote these guys. They happen to be lawsuit happy. There's another one that buys out houses by the tens of thousands in cities, and then they own entire blocks, and they set the rent price in these entire areas, and they charge the most amount they possibly could. And they're also the people who prevent more housing from going up and stuff like that. Just your standard take over the world maniacally, and basically keep people slaves, that kind of organization. And yeah, these are the companies that we want, controlling our public squares. Okay. All right. If you think that, please reconsider.
Well, I mean, I don't doubt. I mean, whatever. I don't know much about BlackRock, but I'm just saying, you call anything. The name itself doesn't mean it's evil, but and I know you know that, but the actually, I would find that to be kind of a weak James Bond villain organization name, quite frankly. Blackstone, on the other hand, now that's just demonic. Wasn't that like a?
That was a very poor joke.
No, wasn't that? wasn't that Born or something? I don't know. Sorry, I'm serious. Blackstone sounds way worse than BlackRock, but I couldn't tell you why.
But there's like stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Black hard place might get you in trouble. So anyway, it's not that he's a billionaire. It's that it's Elon Musk. That's why people are melting down about this. The
guy who's single-handedly basically saved humanity from reliance on fossil fuels for small vehicle and large vehicles and a whole bunch of other ones coming up. Yeah, that guy, he's just that evil man.
Well, I haven't heard anyone give a good reason why it's a problem that he's taking over Twitter. Kotaku's coverage of this was absolutely hilarious because all they did was talk about how the whole article wasn't even coherent. The headline is Elon Musk buying Twitter sucks, but marginalized game devs aren't leaving. The two things have nothing to do with each other. If you read the whole article, he doesn't in any way, he or she, I'm not sure, but they don't. Oh yeah, the subtitle of the article kind of explains it well. It says, game developers explain why they're sticking with Twitter despite its many downsides. The game developers that this person interviewed don't even talk about Elon at all. And the downsides that they talk about are stuff that they're referring to Twitter before the Elon buyout. Like, this made no sense at all. I can't believe this got published. Then again, it is Kotaku. But,
yeah,
it just made no sense. It's like they had a generic article about how Twitter helped some people, who, in the gaming industry. And then some editor came along and was like, hey, can you complain about Elon like 3 times throughout the article? But that has nothing to do with what I interviewed these people about. Just throw it in. Just sprinkle it in there because reasons, because that that has nothing to do with what I wrote about. That doesn't matter. The downside, as Shua points out, downsides of Twitter, you can get whiplash from how fast the narrative changes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it's like my point was, I haven't found any good reasons why people are opposed to Elon. Like, they're just not putting out there the reasons why they think this is bad. Except for one take I heard from, I'm not sure who it was, somebody in government or some analyst or something, who was like, well, now Elon can, do things like, he can like censor people he doesn't agree with and like, suppress tweets from political candidates and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, you mean the stuff Twitter's already doing? And you're talking about a person who wants to, like, who is claims to be a free speech absolutist. And I mean, that means he's going to allow people from all sides of the political spectrum to keep putting their opinions on Twitter. So I don't know what you're worried about, unless he turns out to be a liar and just, wants to prop up one side while downplaying the other. I mean, if that happens, then we'll address that when it happens, because that would be completely unacceptable. Obviously, the whole principle behind free speech is that you believe in someone's right to speak and express their ideas regardless of whether you agree with them or not. So, assuming that, that is his position on things, what's bad about this? That's my question. What is bad about this? Does anyone else know? Like, have you heard any kind of coherent explanation as to why why certain people are opposed to Elon doing this?
I heard it the best from somebody yesterday who was on Twitter saying that this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to democracy in America, and they were going to close their Twitter account and drive home in their Tesla because they were just so worried about the future of the world. And again, if you can't see the irony and the stupidity in that, it's just kind of funny.
Well, that is pretty.
At this point, you just have to
that
laugh.
That is pretty
at
funny.
It.
That is pretty funny.
This is the same person who a few months ago was talking about how they can't wait for this new project that's being put together to launch a permanent colony into orbit around Earth. Yes. Guess who they were going to be using as the primary source of that contract?
Huh.
Take a wild guess. I wonder. SpaceX. Yeah. So the arguments are not founded in reality, and it's just kind of funny because again, it's like, I mean, I've been tweeting about this quite a bit recently. Yeah, I started using Twitter again. Essentially, as soon as Elon Musk said he wanted to buy Twitter, I immediately was like, all right, now this appears to be something worth getting into, right?
Yeah.
Because this is something that's literally like, yeah. Oh my goodness. Tim Sweeney liked my reply. Oh my God. Really? Wow.
Wow.
That was a non sequitur if I've ever heard one. So
yeah, because I was mentioning, I was responding to Joel Heyman in a small topic, and Tim Sweeney literally came over and liked my reply. I'm gonna have to take a picture of that one.
Ah, interesting.
So yeah, little bit of I was pulling up my my tweets on the conversation, but basically I made a couple posts about this, and really it's like, look, we have to evolve conversation, and we have to evolve the ability to dissect arguments, belief, concepts, that kind of stuff, and we need to have the ability to have actual, real, important discussions on these things, because if we don't, we're in big trouble. Like we're legitimately in big trouble, because if we can't have if we can't sit down and pull apart an idea logically and calmly and discover whether or not it's good, healthy, strong, generally here we go. I found my post. This is like, all ideas need to be verified with critical eyes from every direction. When you don't allow your opponents to speak, you've already lost the argument. And this is true. We've talked to death. Censorship is one of the most common topics that we talk about here that's not strictly game related. And it's because it's such a problem. And it's such a problem because it very rarely works in the way that you think it's going to work. It almost never works in the way that you think it's going to work.
It's yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't know, this is a random analogy that came to mind, but it's like you show up to a chess tournament and your opponent doesn't show up because you hired some guys to, tie him up somewhere, Mm-hmm. You've tactically won the tournament, but you have not proven you're a better chess player than that guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's censorship. If you move it into the realm of intellectual ideas and discussing which ideas are good or which ideas are bad. But I think it even gets scarier in the sense that we're living in an age where the political side that used to say we have to question the people in power, we have to speak truth to power, we have to hold our leaders accountable. She was going to send his chess goons after me. Well, can't be worse than the Rockstar goons. But anyway, if the side that used to say we've got to speak truth to power are now saying you can't question the people who are in authority. You can't question the people who are in control. And that is a freaking scary situation to be in. I mean, if you can't question the people in power, like, do you just not like freedom? I mean, imagine if that had been the status quo throughout the history of, you know, Western democracies and you know, free nations, that kind of a thing. Like, just speaking in general, imagine if you couldn't question the status quo. Well, we'd still be in the freaking dark ages, people. Is that what you want? You want to be... You want to... I mean, you can get a taste of it. Just go move to Shanghai. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, it's not about Elon. I you know... By the way, I mean, I just want to clarify, too, that being in favor of Elon buying Twitter, as I am, does not mean that, you know, I think he's like some savior of civilization or that I agree with everything he says and does. Not a chance, not at all. It's just a question of wanting to see a semblance of... Basically, I stopped using Twitter because I was like, well, why bother? I could be shadow banned because, you know, my tweets could be... Am I not getting any interaction on my tweets because people really aren't interested in what I'm saying? Or is it because, you know, the program's algorithms thought I said something that it didn't like, and so they're suppressing my reach?
Right.
And you can't know. You just can't know.
Yeah, well, him freeing up the code, putting it online, allowing people to be able to examine things, you know, just all the data that you would have from these actual conversations. This is super important, and I'm legitimately, I'm very happy that this is going on. I legitimately am. I really think that it's perfectly fine to do this, and it's perfectly fine to push this kind of stuff out, because again, it's like, it's so important to be able to, you know, grow this into a better thing, you know. And I was more than willing to do this with other platforms, and kind of Twitter was kind of written off for me. It was getting worse and worse and worse. It's like I would log in, and the things that were trending were just very vile, just extremely vile stuff. Like, you know,
and yet we know.
I don't even want to get into it.
No, but we also, even if it wasn't vile, objectionable stuff, we know that trending section is curated.
Yeah.
And that, you know, there's Twitter employees controlling what shows up in the trending section. So it's meaningless. So why bother using it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you want to go, like, it's supposed to be, this is what the most people are talking about. But it's not. So why bother? So yeah, so it was a useless tool. Now, or it was, let me put it this, it was a useless tool for anyone who actually wanted to use it to, how do I want to explain? It was a useless tool for anyone who, you know, wanted to use it as an accurate gauge of what society is feeling and talking about, and what's actually of interest today. What's really trending, or what do people really think about what I have to say about this kind of a thing. But there was just, everything was so heavily manipulated. There was no way of knowing, using it as any kind of a gauge for you know, people's interest in any topic whatsoever. So now that might be changing, and now I'm suddenly interested in using it again. So that's where I stand on it. Moon, any thoughts before we move on here?
Same, because I stopped using it because I'm like, this is a cesspool, and I just didn't see a point in interacting with it. Now that, like, with all the changes that are on the list to go on, I'm like slightly more interested in like reinstalling it. Like, I still don't have it installed on my phone because I'm like, but at the same time, it's like this will definitely be interesting, because it's like, you know, on one hand, like currently pre-purchase is just in the hands of a few people. Now it's going to be in the hands of one guy. So like we'll see how this goes, because like he's going to have to delegate anyways, because he can't just handle it on his own, but he can definitely help the direction. That, and also what's going to happen to all those Twitter alternatives?
Well, I don't think they'll
with
go anywhere.
some of them, yeah, because like some people just might have jumped ship completely and like just don't want to bother with it. So at least there's like those alternatives, but at the same time, like how much growth, how much interaction are they still going to see? Like I know that with one of them, I can't remember which one, but you can link your Twitter posts to them, link your Twitter account to that, so it'll like mirror each other. But yeah, let's see. Shu in the chat says you can like the art without liking the artist. Mm-hmm. And he's shown that he knows how to delegate. He can find the right people to do the job.
Absolutely. I don't think he's not gonna be sitting there, writing the Twitter algorithms himself, obviously.
Micromanaging.
He's still gonna have, there's still gonna be a lot of people running like doing those tasks, but under a different direction and one that was desperately needed, in my opinion. Now, granted, what I find funny is everyone from every perspective seemed to think that Twitter was garbage. Like, and I mean, people who believed in the vision of the previous leadership and people who didn't. Just, even in that Kotaku article that I referenced, the author was talking about how people, these small game devs were using it to connect with people. It was really, it was good for their careers and such. But they all thought that it was kind of garbage. They all had big complaints about it. So, so Shua thinks Elon needs to pilot the shuttle that takes him to Mars. Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe he will.
Keep saying he's going to go to Mars. I don't think he's ever going to go to Mars himself. I think he's way too important for that. He'll probably, like, maybe when he's 186 or something like that, and
maybe as a last hurrah, yeah, because people who go to Mars on the first mission probably are not coming back. I mean, it's hard enough to get there. It's hard enough to get there. Getting them back, I mean, that's a...
There's this thing called stellar radiation, and I mean, there's this... I've been saying this for a while. Until we can figure out how to reactivate a magnetic core on a planet, or to create an artificial one, it's a really bad idea to try to build anything on a planet, because, like, unless it's like, do or die, it's just not feasible. It's like,
oh yeah, Mars is incredibly hostile to life right now. So I mean, like, the stuff they would have to bring in order to survive there, again, let alone,
personally, I think there's a greater opportunity in terraforming Venus than there is in terraforming Mars, by a significant amount. I mean, you got like 10 oceans worth of acid to deal with on Venus, but you can find a way to. It's always easier to change matter than to pull matter out of nothing. So,
I don't know what.
Yeah. Shua says heresy. I want my Martian sunset.
Yeah, I know, Shua. Anyways, this is a good segue onto unless we have
let's get on to the gaming news.
So we've got a great segue here into Starfield, ladies and gentlemen. It is coming sooner and closer than you think. Today they put out.
I think it's coming at the end of the year.
It's coming in November.
We knew that already. It's not coming sooner than anybody thinks.
Yeah, but information on it is coming sooner. And so we had an info dump today. It was pretty decent. It was music. Iron Zur is doing a lot of music for it. It's really good from what the samples that they put out. I think their official soundtrack is going to nail this out of the park. Really sounds like they've got some good stuff there. They also mentioned a couple things. One was, and now these are the music guys, but you'd think this was pre-recorded. Everything they said had to have some relevance or basis in reality. And not Ironzer, but the other guy, said that when you're flying around space, it's important to hear the right music. And that got me going, what?
Interesting. Okay.
Flying around space? As in, we're going to be piloting this? Now, I don't want to get everybody excited for this game. You know, a lot of people were really disappointed with Bethesda recently. And I don't want to give them a cop out. I want us to treat them with the respect that they're giving us by admitting that 76 there was nothing they did not mess up with that game, and they were as sorry as they could be legally speaking. They have also confirmed that 76 is getting 5 more years of content. So they are planning on building off of 76. There's some talk I've been hearing. This is going to get into the leak stuff here, but I'm going to mention this just because I'm talking about 76 right now and I don't have much other leaks as far as 76 goes. There is a discussion about having 76 getting upgraded to the new engine. This would not be the first time this happened, even in the last year, because Fortnite did the exact same thing. Fortnite upgraded Fortnite from Fortnite built in Unreal 4 to Fortnite built in Unreal 5, and they did that over a weekend. Now, they didn't do all the work over a weekend, but they switched it over during a weekend, during an event weekend. And the game has just so much more access to more tools and building stuff and all this kind of stuff. Literally happened overnight. Literally happened in a single update for the players and even the building tools that they have for the game. That's very fascinating. And that also sets the record that if you've got a big enough company with enough people, enough skilled labor, you can swap out the engine literally overnight, like, you know, a magician pulling a tablecloth out from underneath your meal. It's like, you can do it. If you could do it, good. If you can do it, you can do it. And this is pretty interesting. So again, I don't want to get into 76. There's clearly still problems with it. There's clearly still broken promises with it. But it is but it is the only content for Fallout content that we will be getting for the next few years. So I really, forgive me if I feel really sad, but I really want more Fallout content because I love that universe. I want them to do a better job. I want them to improve. Yes, I do want them to boot up a new engine. All these upgrades they've made in this engine for Starfield, I want them to put that into 76 so that we can actually, I'd love them to remake Fallout 3 in this new engine, because apparently it's quite good. More and more news that we're getting out of it seems to confirm that they haven't rebuilt the engine from scratch, but they've massively upgraded entire sections of it. They've ripped out, you know, enormous amounts of old code and put in stuff that makes it run better. And what we've been seeing with the Epic engine really makes me think that this is really good. And I'm hoping that this engine will become used by more studios within the Bethesda and now Microsoft wing of the company, because it is actually relatively easy to create stuff on. It's easy for us to mod, and if it's easy for us to mod, then it's easy for the people to make. Yes, there's some issues that aren't as easy, but you also have an engine that does things that other engines can't do. So anyways, that's enough on the engine talk. Let's talk about a little bit more of the space stuff and get into the leaks. So so what else, what did you pull from this video? So it just the music is going to be really on point. Apparently there's possibly some actual space flight going to be, you know, part of the gameplay. That's really interesting.
Well, I'd be surprised if there wasn't at least some point where you're on a spaceship that's flying through space.
Yeah,
you know, as part where you can actually, you know, experience that in real time. That would surprise me if that wasn't part of it.
Yeah. And Ion Zur said something interesting. Is the concept of space for him and for what this game feels is that you go out, you search, discover, and then you bring things home. And I'm like, actually, that's very accurate for what explorers have tended to do. That's actually very interesting. And that means that there's going to be some level to that somewhere in there. So again, I fingers crossed that they're doing this right. We're gonna have probably, I'm gonna guess that we're gonna get another episode here in a couple of weeks, and then sometime in June or July we're gonna get a major showcase on it. So things are gonna wrap up from that. We're potentially gonna start recording or start doing our Starfield shows sooner rather than later. So yeah, that's what's there. Now let's get into some of these rumors that have been going around. So these rumors kicked off basically what, today or yesterday? Today. So these rumors kicked off today. That's when we're recording. This goes live tomorrow, so this will be yesterday. There's a new game in development at Roundhouse that may surprise us. I roll my eyes at this because, of course, there's a new game in development at Roundhouse, and it may surprise us. That these leaks. So these leaks are coming from a contact who reached out to Skullsy and to Mr. Matty Plays. They said that they couldn't confirm anything, but they put these leaks out here anyways. I'm going to cover them. And I'm going to suggest with a heaping spoonful of salt that this is probably BS, in the sense that it's not accurate. It's that it's probably made up to make somebody probably gave this stuff to them that doesn't. They're guessing. This is guesswork. And how do I know this is guesswork? Because there's a new game development at Roundhouse. Duh. That may surprise you.
Wait, game studio is developing a
game that may surprise us. Oh my god! Wow! Stop the presses! Oh my goodness! Now apparently it's a PvP PvE game in development, which could literally mean anything. So congratulations on that one. Tests the next Elder Scrolls game taking place in Hammerfall. Well, this has been around for about 4 years now, so again, not new. There will be a political system. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we found a real winner here. A political system in an Elder Scrolls game where you can become the boss of towns and or factions. I know.
I have never heard of this before. Oh my goodness.
In an Elder Scrolls game, being able to take over a town and become the Jarl? I've never heard of this before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
in the chat says, I swear to gosh, if it's another battle royale type, ...
So apparently betrayals, marriage, and factions matter in Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls game. Again, this is the same stuff that was in the last game. This is interesting though. Apparently no dragons in the next Elder Scrolls game.
What?
I kind of doubt this, and this is where it starts to lose me. I don't think, like, after I read this, I'm like, dragons are something that are, I mean, the ability to add a dragon into a game and have you fight the dragon is a really cool thing.
But
and some of the dragon
right?
fights in Skyrim were absolutely phenomenal. You'd be an idiot to not include it, but I mean, if we're doing some time stuff where we're going backwards in the thing, then yeah, maybe they're not. It's timey-wimey. I don't I don't necessarily believe that one. I also don't necessarily believe this. The leak also says that the next Elder Scrolls game is now in full development in early stages. Again, it's not that I don't believe this, it's that I don't believe this is a leak. Because again, we know this is the case.
Yeah, they showed us.
They showed us. They've been in early development for this Elder Scrolls game for a while now. And again, that's how, when you have a big studio like Bethesda, they're always working on at least 2 projects, because that's just how it works. You know, some of the music, they start working on some of the music for the next game, you know, a year before even some of the artists have moved into like doing some of the early sketch work for it. And why? It's because writing really good music takes a really long time, because you're writing so many different iterations. You're trying to like that's a full-time job at a big studio.
Gotta set the mood.
Plus, they want to have it for
story and
for promotional materials and stuff. Yeah. So they get started.
Now here's the first stuff where it actually goes from like literally this has all been essentially like this. I could have come up with all of these things myself, because this is all bullshit. Target release is 2025-2026. That one, again, it's like we know we're getting the game this year, so saying that the next game, you know, is going to be around in 2 to 3 years, when again, when Pete Hines and Todd have come out and said numerous times that they want to speed up games and have about a 3-year period, 2 to 3 year period between games. Again, this is something that everybody knows. BGS Austin and Montreal are working on Spy Team. That's again, it's like that's somewhat guessable. Mando MMO at ZeniMax Online. I don't know what they mean by Mando. I mean, I'm thinking maybe Mandalorian MMO.
Maybe.
I really don't know. Quake reboot in talks. Yes, and again, here's something else that I could have said. Any of you could have said a year ago. Yeah, you know, Quake is in talks for reboot. It's like everything is in talks for reboot constantly. You can literally say that and never be wrong. Now
Comments in the chat I want to read.
Here's the most interesting one. Tess and Fallout remasters via In Exile. That is the only thing on here that I hope is true, and I hope is like actually verifiable. Hopefully sometime soon. You cover the comments. I've got to run to the bathroom.
Okay. So, Shua in the chat says, as Niv would say, always add dragons. Niv is one of our Discord community members.
Somebody on the show a week or a couple weeks ago said dragons make everything better. We had a bit of a discussion about that, I recall.
Right.
To have dragons, I mean,
it may not have dragons, but I guarantee you, Thomas will still make an appearance at some point.
Well,
and then Shua comments, followed shortly by the Macho Man himself.
The dragons were, kind of a technical. They were a technical feat that they pulled off in Skyrim, and it would be a shame not to have them.
Right.
Yeah, they bring something very interesting to the world, and there's a lot they could do there. But if they don't if they go back in time to the period when the dragons aren't around or something, then I suppose that I mean, we'll have to see where they want to go with it. But what would be fun? A dragon mount that you could fly all over the place.
That would also be cool.
I have no idea if that's lore friendly or not, but that would be pretty sweet. So
it could be How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah,
I would love that so much.
And this Mando MMO, like Shua says, it wasn't attached to Star Wars. I don't know what that would be. I have no comment on that. So Why wouldn't the dragons be around? Did Matthew McConaughey kill them all? Well, if you go back in time in the Elder Scrolls universe, like in Skyrim, the whole idea is the dragons are coming back. So if you back up the timeline and you set your game prior to that, then there'd be no dragons unless they pull some weird timey-wimey stuff.
The only other, so there's two other things here. So there's potentially a 4X strategy game for the Elder Scrolls universe in development, and apparently Xbox is shifting resources to assist Bethesda with massive workloads. Again, both of those are true. I can set both of those are true because I'm not an idiot. Most people could have set these things as true because, again, they're not an idiot. Do you really think Xbox would buy Bethesda and then not help them with resources to speed up their production? Again, it's like when you think about it, it's pretty obvious. So stating that as a leak, it's like, God damn, if I didn't have the scruples to not write my own leaks, test the potential 4X game. Again, a really obvious thing to say. Some of the best studios that are working on 4X games are under the Microsoft banner right now. It's some of the only studios working on 4X games. Not the only ones, but it's something that yes is obviously something that would have been at least thrown around. And again, they say potential. It's like, of course it's potential. So yeah, don't take this one worth much because it's
okay. So
it's all obvious stuff that is like, yeah, sure, of course all of this stuff is true, because with the only thing that is actually, like, interesting to note is the tests and Fallout remasters via In Exile. And again, I would love to get a Fallout 3 remaster, would love to get a Fallout New Vegas remaster. They could really do either of those, and it would be a really good idea.
All right, so if you see any of those rumors floating around, definitely take them with a grain of salt, but some of them do sound cool. Okay. Let's got just a few smaller stories to rapid fire through here. So if you are a Dying Light 2 fan and you've been looking forward to a New Game Plus addition to the game, well, it's coming this week. Supposedly, according to this article, it is so the New Game Plus is going to be part of update 1.3.0, which is due to land on April 27th, which is the day that this podcast goes live. So check it out on, if you're listening to this when this goes live on Wednesday, April 27th, you could go check it out and see if you have a download available to update it. So I'm definitely going to check that out. That'd be an interesting way to play the game. So there's apparently some buyout interest in Ubisoft now. So several private equity firms, including Blackstone. Oh,
what?
After everything I said earlier about Blackstone being an evil name. Apparently, okay, I actually had no idea. Blackstone Inc. and KKR and Company have been studying the French business, according to people who are familiar, people who have knowledge of the matter. This is some excellently sourced reporting here, Bloomberg. People with knowledge of the matter say that somebody is interested in this, and maybe in these people. They don't want to be identified because the information is private. Okay. Anyway, they say these equity firms have been might be interested in purchasing Ubisoft, but Ubisoft has not entered into serious negotiations with potential inquirers. Just quickly, for like 2 minutes, Saib, what could a Ubisoft buyout mean for the gaming industry?
Less Ubisoft meetings taking place in strip clubs.
I would argue that's a net
not
positive.
a removal
Sure.
of them, just less of them. Because it's one of these things that it's like I don't know if that would kill the games or make them better. Because right now you have some charm, some good stuff coming out of those studios, but you also have a lot of problems.
Well, and when you have it, when you have when a relatively boring open world is colloquially referred to as it's like a Ubisoft game, you're doing something wrong, and yet their games still do massively well. So I don't quite understand that dichotomy, but anyway, yeah. There you go. Yeah, the company does have a lot of problems. Will a buyout fix the problems? Will it make it worse? I mean, often when you have big money getting involved in these things, it can spell problems for the artistry of the actual game itself. But then again, you have to question if Ubisoft really has any artistry to begin with. And they definitely have some other problems. Hey, guess what? Diablo Immortal's coming to PC. Did you know that? I guess they decided we really didn't have phones, and they'd better put it on PC. It's going.
Yeah, this is very funny in so many ways. This is a full circle for them announcing this game. It is a smackdown from the community to a game studio that sought to leave most of them behind. And they're like, well, they're just wanting to increase. No, they were leaving them behind. And I can guarantee you that if there wasn't this level of outcry, and that if Diablo Immortal started doing way better or just as good as that stupid Candy Crush game that they have, I guarantee you we would probably never see another AAA full Diablo game ever again. 100%. We would never have seen another Diablo game. We would have, it would have just slowly morphed into, here's an endless stream of garbage for you to consume that has very little to no quality to you, but we've nailed this hook, line, and sinker experience of money, microtransaction, money, microtransaction. So yeah, I'm glad that they got the overwhelming message. I'm glad that they got the absolute dunking that they absolutely deserved, and I hope that it continues with their other mobile games that they've got coming.
But on the other hand, this is just going to be a mobile game ported to PC. This is not a PC game. In fact, it says here that they decided to make this version when it was decided that many fans would try and emulate the mobile game on PC anyway. That was their rationale. They're gonna emulate the mobile version on PC, and would rather make a fully functioning. I mean, they say native version, and it's probably going to be a better experience than trying to emulate the full mobile version. But they say the port will feel a little different from other PC Diablo games, as originally they only planned to make it for mobile. And so I'm predicting it's going to be crap.
This is them covering their butts as far as the microtransaction stuff goes. Will it be a terrible game? I don't. Apparently, it's fun. Again, I don't, I never, I don't think it'll be great, but it's like whatever, right?
I suppose this is a step in the right direction. I'll give you that. But
it's a small step in the right direction, but again, it's not a great direction because I don't like mobile games that are trying to cash in on the mobileness of the game, which is like 99% of the market. Genshin Impact is a unique game in the fact that it is. I mean, it's you could play it mobile, but that's not the way you should play it. If you're gonna play it on PC, because play it on PC with a controller, because that's what it was made for. They ported it to the mobile so that they could rake in hundreds of dollars, because for some reason when you have a game on the Steam store and you're like, hey, this game is going to charge you this month is going to charge you $500, you're like, what? No. But when you're on mobile, it's like, hey, you want this cool thing? I got a cool thing for you. It's 500 G's, man. Come on, put it on the table. Oh, I guess not G's. That would be like what? Notes,
500,
whatever.
C notes, if you want to talk like
C notes.
Talk like the boomerest of boomers. All right. Well, I mean, step in the right direction, but again, like Shua's response to this is kind of what I was thinking. So it's going to be the Grand Theft Auto trilogy. Yeah. Theodore Roosevelt, thanks for joining us. I was going to address your question about the engine, about the Starfield engine, but didn't have a chance while we were talking about Starfield. But anyway, we might tack that on to the end of the show if there's time here. But we are running a little low on time. But a couple more stories to go into here. PlayStation might actually acquire From Software, according to a popular gaming insider, according to this report from DualShockers. Dr. Serkan Toto, who is the CEO of Canton Games, and says that From Software is rumored to be a merger and acquisition candidate by Sony. So that doesn't really tell us much. It's a candidate. So Sony, we've talked about Sony's potential acquisition of other companies. They acquired Bungie, correct? I don't have that wrong. They acquired Bungie. That's the one we talked about a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We have Microsoft buying up studios left and right, and so it almost seems like Sony has to respond to that in some way. Buying From Software, my only concern about that, assuming they don't try to stifle the studio's creative vision at all, because I think that From Software, despite the typical arguments that always ensue about whether or not their games are too hard or should be more accessible, etc., they definitely have carved out their own creative vision that has, definitely, that's made a mark on the industry, and I don't want to see that change. I don't want to see it corporatized and, become another Ubisoft or something. But if it, my other big concern with that, even if they carry on as usual, would be, I don't want all their games to become PlayStation exclusives. I think that would be terrible. But what do you think? Would that happen potentially? I have to think it would. Like, why else would they be buying it, or would they continue to release the games on PC? What do you think?
I think you're an idiot I think you're an idiot if you move your games from a wide market to an extremely narrow market.
Well, that may be, but they might be looking at it like, it'll bring more people over to PlayStation because, and so it'll get people into our PlayStation ecosystem because they won't be able to get From Software's next game on PC. Hypothetically, in the hypothetical future where they actually purchase From Software and decide, and make that kind of a decision, I'm saying. I'm not again, all of this is still it's all still rumor status. And I've never heard of this analyst before, this analyst and insider, Dr. Sirkin Toto. But yeah, like if they did that, I mean, that's kind of, isn't that kind of what they've already been doing? Like, they could be releasing their first party titles on PC at launch, but they're not doing it. They're doing ports of them years later. So, anyway, no further thoughts on that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, just generally, I think it's dumb.
Well, I agree with you. What I'm getting at is, do you think they would do that?
Depends on how stupid they're feeling that day, I guess. It's like,
okay.
I mean, that's all I got, man. It's like, should we shoot ourselves in the foot? You'd be surprised at how many people are like, this is a good and acceptable idea. I see no fault or problems with this proposal. Oh.
All right. Well, they have, however, in further PlayStation news, apparently they have started a game preservation team. All right. So, revealed by a new employee's Twitter and LinkedIn posts, the division will focus on preserving PlayStation IPs to ensure our industry's history isn't forgotten. The day-to-day focus on IP preservation for the business, ensuring titles of today are captured, cataloged, and secured for the games industry of tomorrow. So they're only going to do PlayStation games, obviously. But I mean, that's good in general.
I need to read Shua's comment in the chat.
Yeah.
We used to be a games company, but then we took a bad marketing decision to the knee.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry, just scanning the other comments in the chat there. So I mean, this is good. Now, will it translate into people actually being able to play those games? I think is the big question. But their new PlayStation Plus tiers include future access to older PlayStation games. We discussed that on a previous podcast. Anyway, I mean, any step toward games preservation is ideal in my opinion, but at the same time, I mean, you could argue that Nintendo has done exactly this. Like they've still got all of their games that they've ever created preserved somewhere, but can people play them? Well, that's not really. They have very, very controlled access to those games. But in a similar vein, Apple apparently has made a change in the policy to its App Store that they will delete apps that haven't been updated recently. And this could mean that a lot of games that have been out for a number of years could just up and disappear, because apparently they have idiots making the decisions over there, because they think that this
is part of the problem. I mean, I discovered this recently. There was an app game that I liked, like checking out every once in a while, and I went back to it. It's still in the store. You can download it. You can install it. It can take a registration, but then the game's servers are not there. So what you have is you have a game that's effectively just accepting, username and data and like login data. So if I was actually honest in my sign up details, which I'm not, just so you know, it's like, what's your name? Darth Vader? Welcome, Darth Vader. What's your birthday? Oh, 1900? 1st of January? Cool. All right. I'm going to pass this information off to some friends. Yeah, no, screw with them all the time.
Well, yeah, okay, but I mean, that's a bit of a different situation. There, you're talking about the game's servers going down.
I guarantee you that this is what this is about.
You think so?
But
not all.
I mean, sure. Is there room for them to use it in some nefarious type of way to remove certain things that they just don't want on there? Yeah, 100%. They could probably do that too. But I can guarantee you the most common thing that they're trying to figure out right now is they have a plethora of bad, no longer functioning products on their game pages that are just not in use anymore. And the only way that you know that it's not in use is to scroll down to the comments, find a recent comment in the thousands and thousands of comments people have left over the years, with the latest comment being, hey, don't download this game. The servers are offline. There's nothing for you to play.
That's
big problem. Huge problem on the stores right now.
Fair. That's fair. But there's got to be a better solution to that than just you have to update your app within a certain period of time. I mean, you can have self-contained apps that that contain a game or whatever that just it's fully playable but it's complete. It doesn't need any more updates, and therefore it's not going to be updated constantly like it was when shortly after development or anything like that. And so, this could result in a lot of indie devs having their games just being removed from the store because they haven't received an update in a long time.
I have an immediate solution for this. If there's any, I've already dealt with this a bunch with other developers. Questions on how do I keep my game current? Like, how do I keep people interested in my game? This is a very, 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 very common question. And the answer to this is extraordinarily easy. Every major holiday, pop on and update a happy whatever on your game file, and then that's it. It takes you do about 5 to 10 minutes of work, and you create a new, air quotes, update that pushes your product to the top of the heap again, and then allows you to change some micro changes in the artwork, and then you're done. This is legitimately a question. I didn't think about this when we were covering the stories originally, but yeah, this is something that I literally have had discussions with devs about for years now, and it's a common tactic that we use to keep games up to date.
Sure, that is a good idea. And on the flip side, I mean, if you do have a case, especially with Apple, where older apps won't run anymore. If as the iOS, which I think, I mean, I feel like Apple pushes things forward a little too quick, or doesn't provide enough legacy support. But I mean, I realize there is a limit.
They have no desire to do anything legacy. They have no desire for that. They don't want you running a 5-year-old program. They don't even want you running a year-old phone. They actually break their own phones, so you're forced to buy the next model.
Yeah.
How they were not sued into the ground for this, I will never know. I mean, seriously.
Well, and this is exactly why I'm not an Apple user and no longer have an iPhone.
Apple is... I know some people love Apple, and you can love your Apple.
Oh, well, there's stuff like the thing is
just I just find it absolutely egregious for them to be like, oh, so the new model's out, we're going to push an update to the rest of the phones. The phones are going to forcibly install these updates because, screw you, and it's going to basically ruin your phone.
Yeah.
It's like, why do they have any business at all? Like, why does anybody give them money? I really don't understand. If you're an Apple user and you know this, but you continue to get Apple products, please explain it to me. I'm very confused. I am so confused as to why this is a thing.
I know my wife does have an iPhone, and I don't know what it's what she's used to. That's her explanation for it. But yeah, I don't fully understand. But at the same time, like she's not exactly a power user or trying to use old apps or anything like that. So yeah, that's all I have for topics anyway. So any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
No.
All right. Well, then with that, we will wrap up the show here. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for listening, whether you're listening live, again, on the Discord server, as we do every Tuesday night. If you join the Discord server, it will eventually move over to Gilded, as we've said many times, this recording session. But if you join our Discord server right now, you can find the link in the description below. You can listen to the live recording session and participate in the live chat. But while you're doing that, definitely sign up for a Gilded server as well, because as we mentioned earlier, as you probably gleaned from our discussion about Twitter earlier, we're big on free speech, and Discord is not. So we have started a Gilded server as a way of, we have some rooms over there that we no longer felt were safe to operate on Discord, and by that I just mean, the memes room kind of a thing. We didn't want
memes and jokes.
Memes and jokes.
They were definitely like memes, jokes, and general conversations about random, sometimes political.
Yeah, the off-topic section. So those are active over on the Gilded server. They've been locked down on the Discord server just because we didn't want someone posting something that Discord didn't like and get the entire
server banned.
Yeah, we didn't want that, so that's why we did that. But anyway, yeah, you can join our social communities. You can find the other links to our Patreon, to our merch store, that kind of a thing, and you can also find the links to our other YouTube channel, Triple S League, where we have comedy content, game guides, reviews, that kind of a thing. And of course, if you are listening to this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you are listening to this on one of the audio platforms, you can follow, or whatever they have on the platform you're listening at. It goes out to all different kinds of things. So we appreciate any of those interactions. And of course, like I said, the live show takes place on Discord. So with that, we'll wrap it up for now. Thank you so much for listening. Slam that like button. Tells YouTube and us that you appreciate this content. We will talk to you again very soon. Oh, and right after this, live hangout with supporters in the post-show hangout room. Talk to you later.